Welcome to Talk Fair on Air, a LinkedIn Live event hosted by Viewerworks, the show where AI and innovative unconventional thinkers take center stage. I'm your host, Viveta Jean, AI Language Solution Specialist, and today we're going to talk all about training, mentorship, and entrepreneurship with an expert in the field. We're thrilled to welcome Jason Willis-Lee. With over 19 years of experience in freelance medical translation, translator training, and entrepreneurship, Jason brings a unique perspective to our discussion. And Jason, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Viveta. Thank you for having me. It's very kind of you to invite me, and I'm delighted to be here. Thank you.
We're honored. Can you share a bit about your journey in entrepreneurship and your vision for the future of translator training?
Yes, of course. So I still think I'm a newbie entrepreneur. I did a business coaching course in the summer of 2022. So that was lasting about a year. And I was interested in a productized service. I wanted to get a product out to the industry that would improve entrepreneurial skills. I feel that the market is pressuring us or asking us to skill up and be better at things like building an email list, doing market research using some nifty software that we have, such as ScoreApp or LeadsHook. And that was the idea that I had in the summer of 2022. So I'm still in my first 2 years building this business. I still translate as a medical translator. I'm very niched down. And I think translators have to niche down further and deeper and not be afraid to speak out and be friendly to AI assisted tools. That's what I think the future of translator training.
We follow the trend of the future. And you are active on the social media. Not all translators are active. And you have your own business, like you said, focusing on this idea, which is really authentic. But I would like to know, because I'm also involved in the training, what are the specific gaps that inspired you to start this venture? How does it differentiate itself in the translation market? Especially in terms of supporting translators and fostering their growth?
I think the specific gaps are the discrepancy between service provision and entrepreneurship. I think most translators see themselves as service providers. So they receive a job, they do the job, they send it back, they bill it, they get paid, and end of story. But I think you can go further and you can leverage your expertise if you productize your service or start thinking about productizing your service. And service providers can do this as well. So what I attempted to do was to package my expertise into little packets of IP, intellectual property. So I'm now sitting on quite a lot of IP as I build this thing out, as I hope to build it out to a full 12-month program. And I was actually having a serious illness in hospital 2 years ago, and that's what inspired me to. I got COVID on a ski trip with my family in Granada, Sierra Nevada. Then I recovered, and then I got a viral pneumonia, which I didn't recover from. I was taking antibiotics, and suddenly my health was out of control, and I was admitted with multi-organ failure. The most serious thing was heart failure, and I had my heart at 22%, which is pathological levels. So I was in the IT. I was in intensive care for 4 days, and I'm thinking, if I recover from this, and luckily I did after a week or 8 days, I would like to launch this coaching, this productized coaching offer to the industry, to my people, my community. I've done quite a lot of mentoring in medical translation before, and I've always enjoyed that. I always enjoy the contact with translators and passing on what I've learned in my career. I started in 2000. I'm now 24, almost a quarter of a century in. So that was what inspired me. And I think the skills that people can acquire would be the market research skill, talking to the audience and having tools to spark sales conversations with the audience rather than passively waiting for the work to land on our desks. It's nice to take a more proactive approach and actually go to the work and actually start filtering the customers and get rid of all those price shoppers that waste our time and just looking for the lowest common denominator option, and actually start to position ourselves as trusted providers, leaders in our field. And anyone can do this. I mean, if I can do what I'm doing on social media, making quite a lot of noise, I think anyone can in any niche. So the main things are niching down and having some tools for the market research and positioning yourself as a leader in whatever niche you choose to work in.
We see great things here like that. A situation, like a critical situation, how it affects a person to come up with an idea and do something meaningful for the industry. So, this is one thing. The second thing is that you have initiatives to develop translator talent and particularly in the medical translation field, and from what I understand you also integrate AI driven tools, but you see I don't think that all translators have this innate talent, as I wrote in my post, to become entrepreneurs. And how could we help them? I mean, possibly they would like to, but maybe they don't have experience, or maybe they have never been involved in this, or they don't have the skills. What can you do about it? What are the initiatives that you can develop to help them?
So I think, Vivetta, it's more of a mindset change. You need to come out of the service provision mindset and just doing the work and handing it back, and skilling up. You need to be looking at the market. The market now is AI. AI is a big part of the market. So I teach my people to be AI friendly. Yesterday in the launch, I was telling people not to be afraid of AI and not to resist it. I see a lot of negativity online and people venting against AI because they're not quite sure how to respond, or they're reluctant to skill up, and they think, or there are people my age, late 40s, early 50s, who think everything's going to stay the same. And of course, that's not the case. Tech is this latest tech wave has been very impactful. I remember the tech wave in the early 2000s. I was using a program called Deja Vu, manufactured by a company called Atril, and it was full of so many tags you could barely see the text you had to translate. So that gradually evolved and over successive waves. And I remember a legend of a story that the Atril director driving 200 kilometers or more somewhere in Italy to troubleshoot a tech problem for a translator, and this was a legend. So I lived through previous waves of CAT tools and tech, and I'm not the most techie person. I'm the first to admit. It takes me time to so I understand people my age who have problems with tech. So I think it's being AI friendly. It's not being afraid to speak out and charge your full worth. So I work primarily with translators at a certain price point who may be undercharging. Perhaps I've had clients discover they are grossly undercharging, almost half of what they could charge. So we work on business skills, and we work on mindset, and money mindset is a good one, and not undercharging is part of that. That's a big part of money mindset.
And is it the training that you provide to translators to cultivate this mindset? Is it a collaborative one? What are, let's say, you will not reveal the trade secrets, okay? But what are, let's say, the strategies or the techniques that you use to make this training more efficient?
So I give them more skills. So we two skills I teach particularly at the upper end of the spectrum. So the lower end, I expect people to come in, improve their online visibility. If they don't have a website, I'd like them to consider doing one, but not just stopping there. Actually driving traffic and eyeballs intentionally to the website and starting to ping a lot, force a lot of traffic to the website and to their offers. I teach in particular two programs. One is called Score App, and it is a very nice piece of software, very cost effective, less than 30 euros a month, that gives you the landing page to force traffic to a quiz. And this can be used as a magnet on your website, and you can have market research questions. So you can, for example, position human translation as a superior option to AI. You can just slant the questions, and you need to give a bit of thought to what questions you ask. But it's not so much what you're asking as the fact that you're having a conversation with the prospect, your target client, your ideal customer avatar. So we spend a lot of time working out who our content is talking to, what pain points it is solving, and what is the prize for the customer. So one framework I teach would be pain news prize. So pain points on a Monday, for example, you discuss some pain points of your audience. On Wednesday, you could be doing some industry news, so the latest advancements in tech, in AI assisted translation. And Friday, you could be concentrating on a prize, an outcome that a customer would desire. And if you tap into a customer's desires and position yourself as, this is very psychological, I think there's a lot of psychology behind this, and strategies that can be used in business. And that's what I find myself getting very interested in as a business strategist, and resolving business challenges. So those are some of the things. I don't physically take work to my client. I give them strategies and tools to hopefully improve the quality of their work and find more higher caliber clients, better paying clients, premium clients. And by niching down, they can expect better conditions. Working less and earning more would be a good outcome that I would love to achieve for all my clients.
Exactly, super interesting, and this is what is needed right now to discuss with someone who is expert the ideas in order to trigger new ideas, to trigger innovation, and find your way with clients. I think that the most challenging part while you train future entrepreneurs in translation should be the compensation. And I have a question from Thorsten. He says the biggest problem while linguists are undercharging is that there is a large population, mainly Asian and Middle Eastern, who will accept lower rates as their cost of living is a lot lower than, for example, in Europe. So, do you have to deal with this kind of statements, and how do you deal with it?
So I think that's a very clear. Yeah, thanks for your question, Thorsten. So that's competing on price is so common. And yesterday I mentioned price competition, and I always ask people to give me a thumbs up or a booyah or something in the chat. How do you not keep competing on price? You get away from competing on price by making yourself a market of one. You make your unique value proposition so unique and so distinctive, and you do that with personal branding. So in my company, I inject my own personality into. I'm a half Asian man. I'm half Sri Lankan. I was born in Scotland. I lived in the UK for the first 24 and a half years of my life. I grew up watching films like Indiana Jones and Knight Rider and Back to the Future, the series Knight Rider. So I try and inject my personality into the branding, and that's what differentiates me perhaps from a competitor with a similar offer. And I think it's the founder's beliefs and what the founder thinks about the market that people invest in. If people are looking for a mentor, somebody just 2 steps ahead, and I don't consider myself much more ahead than most of my colleagues in the industry. So the personal branding has to be very good to effectively see yourself as working in a castle, or a damsel or a knight working in a castle on his or her business with a moat of crocodiles outside, and the competitors can't really get to them. That kind of image I discuss. I tell a lot of stories. Storytelling is very powerful. If you can tell personal stories about your life and your work, then people really resonate. I'm far more likely to read an email with a personal story than I am about some generic content that's a little bit boring and dry and dull. So I recommend storytelling is one of the biggest techniques. We have a whole worksheet on storytelling and how to inject that into your personal branding. And business branding is probably on the out. I think business branding is more designed for scaling large businesses and going for an exit strategy and getting a large amount of money at the end. And I think what we're finding, Vivetta, is there is a trend towards personal branding at the expense of business branding. So I recommend, we're all personal brands. You are a personal brand, so am I. BureauWorks is a personal brand. So the founder of all these companies, you, me, Gabriel, is the founder of BureauWorks, has to get the personality into the branding, because that's what differentiates the company. It is the life of the founder and the beliefs of the founder that make it so different. So I'm effectively teaching personal branding strategies and just increasing my clients' confidence about speaking out, not being afraid to charge their full worth, and get away from that scenario that Thorsten was talking about, which is competing on price.
And now that we're talking about it, I'm thinking, and I find how much important it is the company branding, like the founders, let's say, believe, and how this affects the personal branding of the employees being under this company branding. So they interact. It is not only that you have your personal branding under a company branding, and you go like this because, okay, I have been with other companies in the past and it happens to everyone. So it is very important, the compatibility, and how you nurture your other parts, traits of your character or your personality, while being led by a different company branding. And this is also important, and how much freedom you get, etc. Okay, this is a different probably topic, but it is related to entrepreneurship, because each one of us need to stay loyal to the personal branding that they decide to have, and to adjust it whenever they feel comfortable and appropriate.
Yeah, I think that's true, Vivetta. A rebranding operation can be very expensive. I had a business mentor who spent 20 or 30,000 Australian dollars on a rebrand, and it was changed. And I think she went from a company name to her own name because that was the trend, and lots of entrepreneurs have done this recently. So it is constructing a personal brand that will just give you that tiny sliver of the market. We're not talking to everyone. We are talking to a minimal viable audience and producing a minimal viable product that could be possibly be scaled. So we're just looking for that sliver of the audience to resonate with us. This is why a one-stop shop solution doesn't work. You need to be segmenting your audience, and we've talked about segmentation before. So I may have people interested in email marketing, others interested in pricing and negotiation, others in quiz marketing. So I have these different areas of the audience. I was at a conference recently with you, actually. You were present, and I spoke about segmenting a room of people. And I think I spoke to maybe 30 or 40 people that day, perhaps. And you can just divide that room into corners and just talk to various parts of and you can do that very powerfully with a segmentation option on an email program such as ActiveCampaign, which is the one I use and the one I teach. And that's quite powerful to have a robust tool that allows you to talk to various parts of your audience and not all the audience together. So you're getting the right information to the right people at the right time. That's effectively what entrepreneurship is about, and making the right offer at the right time to the right people, and marrying those three, if you like, circles, and getting that concentricity in the middle is what it's about.
Fantastic. So I would like to go a little bit to the storytelling that you just mentioned. And I would like to ask you, because people are interested in real stories. So, what strategies do you personally employ to leverage technology and innovation to grow your business ventures? Because this is going probably to be an example for our audience.
So I'm probably leveraging a couple of tools. The tools I talk about, I am using BureauX myself. I learned a little bit about BureauX from yourself from the training you gave me, and thank you for that, because that was very interesting. That training sits on our YouTube channel, and all our followers have access to that. We're proud affiliates of BureauX. It's a great program to support. I've looked at others in the market, and I can clearly see benefits of BWX over the competitors. So it's wonderful to support a tool, and I only promote tools that I know and like myself and use. So in terms of leveraging technology, I think there are tools on the market that can be used to vastly improve our chances of sales. And one is ScoreApp. ScoreApp is a piece of software that enables you to devise a quiz, and you can do a signature quiz or just a deep dive survey to work out what your audience is struggling with. And service providers can do this just as well as entrepreneurs, not just for entrepreneurs. Some people think it is, but it's also for service provision. And you can ask a series of questions, very cleverly designed questions that will position you as an expert, and more importantly, give you that conversation sparker, that enticement to get the target customer closer to you. And that can be used as a lead magnet. I have one on my website. It is on the front page, homepage of my website. And the other one is the CRM, the ActiveCampaign tool. And these are powerful technological tools which help us automate workflows. So for my launch webinar, I had people register on Zoom. That registry triggered a Zap on Zapier, which put a contact of that person. If you registered, it would be your name, your first name, your surname, and your email, and that automatically creates a record in ActiveCampaign. And then they will get an automated email back. And then I automate the post-webinar flow. There are some sales emails going out. So a lot of these things, when you start talking to large amounts of people, and service providers can market to hundreds of people, you can automate some workflows to make this easier. And ultimately, this helps our sales and marketing. We've all struggled with sales. I think I used to feel a lot of anxiety on sales calls. I wasn't a natural seller. Certainly, I had no training in sales. I think it should be an obligatory subject in all school curriculum. The UK curriculum, when I was studying, was very academic. It was very, people who weren't academic would have problems, I think, and people, 2 or 3 people in my batch of boys would have problems finding meaningful work because you need something for the people who aren't academic as well. You need manufacturing jobs, and countries like Germany, I think, have much more of an option for these people. But that was the problem in the UK. But if I were designing the UK curriculum, I would certainly put sales and marketing as an obligatory core subject. No doubt about that.
Very interesting. And I have new questions that are born, let's say. And I think that the same questions will be relevant for many of the people in the audience, being translators. And specifically, you use the word solopreneurs, which just came up and said, yeah, that's it for the freelance translators at least. So you start as a solopreneur and you have 1, 2, 3, 5 clients, let's say, and a volume which is manageable. And after that, you have to do the automations, you have to do the marketing, you have to do the sales and the billing and everything. So what is exactly, first of all, one question would be, how can you cope with everything as a solopreneur? And second, when do you take the next step to grow and start something bigger? Is it something that people can learn with you?
That's a great question, Vivetta. So solopreneurship or youpreneurship, one of my memberships is the youpreneur incubator. I'm at a tier, a level of revenue that is called the incubator. There's another level above which is called the round table. These people are making higher amounts of revenue. That is one of the challenges, what you said about youpreneurship. It's putting all these different hats on, and you're doing the work, you're drumming up the work, you're doing the commercial work, you're billing the work, you're doing all these, you're marketing the work. So that's one of the challenges, I think, of the solopreneur or the youpreneur today. The way to get around that, I think there are 2 ways. Number one is virtual assistants. So you can, remote work is a trend. I mean, remote work is a content pillar that I would talk about. I have a virtual assistant myself, a wonderful virtual assistant who assisted me on the webinar yesterday. I couldn't do without her. I can't do all of this myself. She edits the podcast files, the YouTube files. She does my Canva slides. She touches up, just is an extra pair of hands that I'm very grateful to have. And she works out of the Philippines. So she's in the virtual assistants community in the Philippines. So I haven't met her physically, but we're very much in contact on a daily basis. And we have a great written relationship, which is what you want to establish. I have met her online. And the other one, if you don't want to hire a team, one of the ways you can scale to a lifestyle business sweet spot rather than scaling a business to the moon, so going to hundreds of thousands and trying to scale to a 7-figure business and all that burnout and stress, is using tech. So you can use tech to automate workload. For example, unpaid invoices. You could create a trigger, a Zap that fires if an invoice is unpaid, and you could have a series of emails to do that recovery process for you. Here in Spain, where I live, we have banks with unpaid invoices departments, and there are teams of people making calls. A lot of that work, I think, could be automated, and we could have tech. So often I am working myself towards creating a lifestyle business sweet spot for myself that leverages my time, that leverages my IP packaged as a digital product, and divorces my time from my value. So I can help lots of people at the same time on a coaching call rather than a one-to-one situation that we're in now. If you were my client and I were coaching you on something. So that's what I'm trying to do. That's what I'm working towards: 5-hour days, high profit margins. And if you are building out a leverage business, there's no reason why you can't aspire to 70, 80, 90% profit margins. That's perfectly feasible, but you need to be careful with your expenses and not have team and think that another pair of hands will do the work of the machine. So if you can find tech that will leverage a task for you, such as unpaid invoices, that's my example, then that's the way to go, definitely.
I find that what you're doing is really meaningful because the while you're talking, I have like 100 questions coming up, and that I would like to share with you in the chat afterwards and ask you. But probably you would tell me if you want to find out, please join my courses, and it would be really reasonable, and I would do so. So thank you very much for that. And now I would like to know, where do you see the future of translation entrepreneurship heading, especially with the integration of AI technologies? And what advice, because advice is really important, would you give to aspiring entrepreneurs looking to enter the translation industry?
I think the future of solopreneurship or youpreneurship is embracing technology. We need to lean into AI. AI is here, whether you like it or not. AI is here to stay, and the tech waves will be even deeper and further. Legal writs and regulations and laws are really not keeping up with the AI, so there are conflicts if you look at things like that. So number one is embrace technology. That's my first piece of advice. Number two is niche down. You have to niche down to dominate your space. If you want to niche down, it is not a question of trying to be everything to everyone, a jack of all trades. No, you have to have a niche these days and focus on that specialization. Number three would be building strong relationships, using the software I teach to build market, to do the market research and actually spark these sales conversations among your ideal target audience. And you need to spend some time audience building to know your audience. I talk to my audience frequently on email, through surveys, in person, on calls. I'm always chattering, monitoring the social chatter. I'm on online networks such as Reddit or Quora, sometimes for personal topics, sometimes for work topics. There is lots of ways that you can niche down that are not, do you work in law, medicine, or finance? Do you want to work for a large company with 1,000 employees, hitting up large HR departments, or do you want to work for small and medium-sized enterprises? Those are two very different things. Where do you get your most enjoyment from work? Is it where is the joy and energy? I think work has to be something that energizes us and not draining us when we finish our day. So that's feel-good productivity. We want to feel productive, and that's another reason to use BureauWorks, because once you've learned the tool, you can start to leverage your billable hour and get it working faster, and you eventually work less and earn more, which is the whole point of any coaching program. It should be to better the person's lot, the person's life, and obviously get positive outcomes for people. So embracing technology, niching down, building strong relationships. And then the final one, Vivetta, I would say, would be stay curious and intellectually curious to do your CPD, and invest in somebody who could help you move. Just press the fast forward button on your career. I'm 48 and a half. I'll be 49 in a few months' time. So I'm looking to keep going for another 10 or 15 years before I think about retirement. So I have to do that. And I work with people maybe a bit younger than me, maybe a bit older. Age doesn't matter. You can just skill up and just have the confidence to charge your full worth, not be afraid of AI, incorporate AI where needed into your tools, and that makes you more competitive and helps you stand out. In the castle analogy with the moat and the crocodiles, that personal branding, if you have AI as your ally and not your enemy. Those are my tips for our audience today.
Excellent advice. Just clarify that CPD is not a disease.
CPD is continuous professional development, not a disease. Certainly not a disease.
Okay, thank you very much. So yes, and for me, for example, what energizes me is BWX, because every time I delve into a presentation of it, it's not exactly, the specific tool or brand, but it is the idea behind the tool. It is the mindset. It is that it is innovation. And this makes you feel that some people worked for it and they did something special. And this matters and this is inspiring. And this goes to at all levels of things and goes to everything around us. Whatever is made with love and care, it is inspiring. So at this point, I would like us to go for our fast five. And you have some seconds, like 10 seconds, to reply to 5 questions.
Okay.
So if you don't take the appropriate time and you go long, then I'm going to interrupt you and apologize for being rude beforehand. So let's go. What's the weirdest thing you've experienced with AI?
It was seeing a colleague ask AI, feed AI of his favorite bands, and getting a picture back from AI when he was a child.
What's one tool or tip you can share that makes you most productive?
Get up early and find joy and energy in your work.
What's the biggest myth people believe when it comes to translation and technology?
That MT is perfect and will have overall supremacy over human translators. Not true.
And what's your favorite? No, I will go with another. What is the last thing you Googled?
The last thing I Googled, oh my gosh, I Googled so many things. Probably the latest medical acronym that was undefined in my medical report translation, like CPD, but actually being a disease. Which you mentioned.
Okay. Using one word, how would you describe AI?
I would describe AI as challenging. Challenging.
I need to do this. Thank you very much, Jason. I need to take all the answers about I have so far from the recordings for describing AI. You all have something different. It's going to be a great post. Thank you very much, Jason, for making our Talk Fair on Air podcast a learn and fun experience. So Talk Fair on Air is an event hosted by BureauWorks. BureauWorks is a cloud-based translation management system integrating innovative AI translation technology and the winner of the Process Innovation Challenge at Local 50. If you want to experience pure AI innovation in translation technology, sign up for a free trial using the link that I will share with you, coming with a special offer of 30% for the first 3 months, or book a demo with me to navigate AI in translation. So, Jason, any final thoughts or takeaways that you'd like to share with the audience?
I'd like to share with the audience to focus on value. Focus on keeping your value above the price you are offering, and you will know when the price goes above value or when the value falls below price. It's all about value. If you can implement value-based pricing, the price actually becomes trivial. At the higher end of the market, the price is very trivial when you work with more affluent customers that have a higher willingness to pay. So try and work with first world problems and more affluent customers with a higher WTP, willingness to pay. That's my advice. And stay consistent. Be consistent and don't give up. The only sure way of failing is to give up. Do not give up, ever.
Don't give up. This is a great advice. Thank you very much, Jason. So let's wrap it up for today's episode of Talk Fair on Air. Thank you once again, Jason, for sharing your invaluable insights with us today. And to our listeners, thank you for tuning in to Talk Fair on Air. Stay tuned for more engaging discussions on the ever-evolving landscape of language and technology. Until next time, remember to upgrade and reskill in the AI translation era, and always play fair and stay loyal to your work ethics. Thank you. See you next week.
Thank you. Bye.